Okay, so the first 2 years of the project, we're really focusing, as I already talked about, what tools are we going to use, how are we going to use them, how are we going to sample against them, what kind of information are they giving us, and how can we use that in our vineyard management. This past year, the real focus that I've seen on the project is now the integration of those tools. So multi-data layer processing to give an overall picture of what's going on in the vineyard, how are you going to manage against that? And we have some variable rate management trials that Jackie can talk about. And then moving forward, so again, we have 1 year left. I really see the focus and what we'll be pushing with the team in the next year is how to get this technology into your hands. You know, what does it cost? What's economical? How would you use it? If you want to come in at the low end, what is the bare minimum I need to actually maybe start taking NDVI and using in my vineyard versus I'm ready to buy a field computer that I'm going to hook up to my harvester and do variable rate crop thinning or something. So be able to get that technology into your hands for my end goal is for that project to be successful is if you guys are using that technology.
We're not trying to replace existing practices through this project and through the technology that we work with. We're just trying to optimize them. So we're trying to give you more bang for your buck every time you're out in your vineyard. We're going to do what they call stratified sampling. We're going to let this map tell us where to go. Rather than having a smooth map, we'll give you a map like this, which this is what we would call a prescription map. So rather than treating the vineyard as a uniform piece of land, we're breaking it up in this case into 3 what we call management classes. And in each of those classes or colors, we're going to make a different decision. So what we do is we do a little bit of in-field calibration on a row or so, and we dial in the flow rates that we need to achieve the shoot removal percentage that we want in each of those areas. And then we put Andy in the driver's seat and say, see you in a few hours, Andy. Knowing how much fruit you have is kind of the first step. So if you've shoot thinned and you know how the number of shoots per vine is where you want it, but maybe you get a really great set. You got a lot of fruit out there, and maybe you're worried about ripening the amount of fruit that you have. The first step would be, how much fruit do I have? So we have protocols in place that rather than treating the vineyard as one unit area of land, we're going to treat it as a variable area of land, and we're going to do a crop estimate within each of those colors. So we're going to come up with how many tons per acre we have in each of those colors and use those to come up with a whole field rather than just sampling randomly. We're going to use our spatial data to tell us where to go to be efficient. So what we've been doing, courtesy of the Betts for a number of years, is using variable rate technology in the harvester, which is actually going to change the rate that the bow rods are moving and thin off the desired amount of fruit variably across a field. Kind of have a forward-looking assessment, a map with our NDVI sensors. We can adjust our crop through shoot thinning. We can adjust our crop through fruit thinning, and then we can use our yield monitor at the end of the year to look backwards and say, are we happy with the patterns that we harvested? We're using off-the-shelf, inexpensive, plug-and-play, really easy-to-use sensors to develop protocols to allow you to manage your vineyard in an efficient way. And then if a better sensor comes along, all you have to do is take out the sensor you're using and put in a better one, and all the protocols stay the same. This is a soil sensor that is, and some of you have heard this before, so I'll try to keep it short, but basically this sensor measures the electrical conductivity through the soil. That can happen through one of 3 pathways. One of those is the soil solution, so the water in the soil. The second is clay particles in the soil, and the third is soil aggregates that are connected together. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what we're working on in terms of variable rate trials. And we're researchers, so we're all about implementing the thing and then evaluating how we did. So in the case of crop estimation, versus taking a vineyard as a whole unit of land area and taking some random samples and trying to predict our crop versus taking NDVI and soil to help characterize the variability in that vineyard and going and taking stratified samples, we were 20% worse just doing it randomly. I mean, 20%, that's a big deal. So we have 1 year of data in comparing apples to apples, and we only did, I think it was 9 samples in 15 acres or something like that. So it's not like we're taking really intensive samples here. We're trying to do what we think is reasonable to expect that you as growers might do. So we've had great results from that. In our shoot thinning trials, really we're excited about the fact that we could use the sensors to evaluate spatial variation, and then we can go out and we can validate that, yeah, higher NDVI actually did mean more shoots, and we got a really good relationship there. So we're psyched about that. We get a good response from our sensors, and then we can take that a step further and actually make this machine do what we want it to do without the human hand involved while it's running through the vineyard. So we're really happy with the results there. And in terms of the bets doing their fruit thinning variable rate, because we have yield monitors on the machine, we're able to see, did we take off what we were trying to take off at that speed of bow rod? And largely, we're doing a great job. So I'm just really proud to be in the Lake Erie region in general, because I think a lot of you are pioneers integrating this technology into your daily lives.